It's been an extremely busy morning in the world of Formula One. Ferrari revealed one of the best looking F1 cars in certainly a decade and probably more. And Michael Masi has been ousted as race director for Formula One. We'll talk about why it's the right decision, but unfortunately, a lot of people got there the wrong way. Let's get into it. So yeah, let's not waste any time. Here is the F1 75 that Scuderia Ferrari revealed officially today, though I know it did leak yesterday, and I'm sure everybody already has seen it and analyzed it and whatnot. But I just want to talk about this thing because it is absolutely gorgeous. Certainly the livery, very reminiscent of the 1990 Ferrari. Everybody says that. Everybody's done a concept of it already. That's no new news. What I find interesting, and something that really I don't think got a whole lot of press, at least that came across my desk, is that Mission Winnow, which is Philip Morris, which is Marlboro, left Ferrari at the end of last year. So if you look at the red on this car, it's actually much darker and actually the proper Scuderia Ferrari red. Back in the day when Marlboro was the primary sponsor of Ferrari, the red was much brighter because that is actually Marlboro's corporate colors. So it's great to see the dark red Ferrari come back. And the other thing I need to say while we're looking at the side profile, because this is probably the thing that shows you the least of the unique features of this car, is that I am so glad, and I was so worried, and I think so many other people were worried, that the new Formula One cars were not going to look any different from one another. Well, I can assure you that if you put this car and the Williams side by side and painted them both green, you would still be able to tell which car was which. So let's take a look at this second photo of the Ferrari. And certainly the nose cone of this car, very thin as opposed to a lot of the other cars. A very eye-pleasing shape, I guess you can say. The actual nose tip, I have to say, isn't quite as attractive as maybe we would want them to look like. And interestingly, I had seen some technical drawings of this car, and that hole underneath the Ferrari nose, or the Ferrari badge, apparently is actually an air inlet to cool the driver, which I thought was a very unique feature, because I think I remember one time back in maybe 2012, Kimi Räikkönen put a hole in his in the nose cone of his car, and he specifically did not get a nose change because he was happy that he was a little bit cooler in his lower parts of his body. The other thing that you can kind of tell from this angle is how narrow and small the airbox is, and certainly, you know, as an American racing fan, the airbox is like a dirty word because we all think of the Indy Racing League and the IRL cars when we look at that. But certainly Ferrari has gone with a very elegant solution to its airbox, and really just this front profile is so 90s. But here's where we start to get into some of the much more unique features. Certainly the front wings, very, very similar across the board in Formula One this year. But the center section of the car, and in particular the side pods, wow. The big undercut in the middle, obviously so unique to Ferrari at this point. We haven't seen any other team, though many teams have not actually revealed their full cars yet, and I'm sure after this official reveal, and probably beforehand, a lot of teams had been working on this, or working on copying this, just in case it's successful. I do love as well the fact that the way Ferrari did this design actually allows the side pod to be flat on the side, which to me, there's actually a side pod on a Formula One car in 2022, which I think is fantastic. The shaping and profile of the engine cowling as well, much different than we had seen on virtually any other Formula One car that's been unveiled at this point. And the shark fin is absolutely massive, at least, you know, by what the regulations these days allow. Very, very different, again, from, say, the McLaren or the Aston Martin in particular. And we go to this other shot, which I have to still say that the most ugly part of, well, there's two very ugly parts on the Formula One cars now. It's the wheels, which I think they need to open up for development immediately because the spec wheels are terrible. But also the rear wing shape. I don't think I'll ever really get over that. Certainly Ferrari has done some things with their end plate that I think make it look a lot better. But from this angle, oh boy, it's a tough look. But let's look at something more attractive, which is the center section and those side pods again. Oh, that just looks so retro. It just looks fantastic, I have to tell you. Best looking F1 car in quite a while. It's a shame that Ferrari gives their modeling license out exclusively to things like Look Smart, which charge like $400 for a model, because otherwise I would buy a 118 model of this car. But unfortunately, I think paying $400 for a Ferrari Formula One car is stupid, and I will not be doing that. But yeah, man, just fantastic. I hope it goes as fast as it looks, because I think Ferrari and Formula One need each other, and Formula One needs Ferrari to be competitive. But Michael Masi has been ousted as race director for Formula One. Now, he will continue to function in the FIA. He was not totally fired, and nor he should be completely fired, especially after what he's put up with. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Masi has been replaced by a rotating door of two race directors, one of which is Eduardo Freitas, who you may know as the race director formerly of the FIA World Endurance Championship. There will also be remote stewards helping make calls, essentially a total restructuring of how F1 directs their races. So, okay, I agree that this was the correct call to get rid of Masi, and I even said it at the time. What happened in Abu Dhabi was a fireable offense. There's no doubt about it. But, and I'm going to swear here, the shit that he has had to see, hear, and put up with is unacceptable. The modern F1 fans, and I'm talking about the Twitter stands, this is a direct shot at you, because you guys need to cool your jets, okay? Ridiculous amounts of hate towards Nicholas Latifi, Michael Masi, Red Bull, Horner, all these guys. Like racing, and trust me, I understand this, racing is extremely important to me as a person. I'm so passionate about it. But there comes a point where you have to hate the game and not the player. If the game ain't right, you can't hate the people who are playing within those rules. And yes, Michael Masi didn't do a good job. He created an issue that did not need to be there. He didn't follow the rules in the rule book. Yes, that's a fireable offense. Did you need to tweet hate-filled comments for 6 months about it? Or, well, not, has it been 6 months? Been like 4 months. It's probably felt like 6 months. Did you have to do that? No. Ultimately, to me, I think this was an obvious decision. It was a decision that was going to be made regardless of what you said about it on Twitter or social media or whatever. And you know what? Formula One fans have got to do better, man. And I think a lot of it is the influx of the Drive to Survive people. And it's a lot of people who maybe don't understand racing and maybe look at other avenues of politics or entertainment and see, you know, this absolute just hate mob as a way to get things done. But, you know, more often than not, the right decisions ultimately are reached in racing. You know, believe it or not. You don't have to quite stoop to that low to get things done. And I'm not saying don't criticize, because I think, again, Masi absolutely deserved to get fired over this. Deserved to not be in that race director's chair after Abu Dhabi, and really after a lot of the things that happened this season. But I cannot support the way that it kind of came to that conclusion, because so many people just had no chill about this, and an unjustifiable amount of rage, in my opinion. Hopefully a lot of this becomes water under the bridge and Formula One can kind of move on from the mistakes of last year. If they tighten up some of their not tighten up, just make sure that they enforce their rules fairly again and stop trying so hard to create drama, the drama will tell itself naturally. That's what we like about racing. That's what we like about motorsport. Is that it's dramatic on its own. You don't need to spice it up too much. Now, how you tell that story, that's for Netflix to decide. But what happens on track needs to be legitimate, in my opinion. When you turn on a race, you watch the race, it needs to be legitimate. I don't care if Drive to Survive fakes stuff to get people in. Fine, go for it. But that television time, that 2-hour window when the race is going on, it's got to be real. And if it's not, you probably are going to end up with situations like this where it gets real ugly real fast, and we don't want that anymore. So hopefully these new F1 cars do the trick. They're exactly what people want them to be, which is closer racing. Hopefully eventually get rid of DRS, and Formula One can start a really strong new era. Can you believe I did a Formula One video? I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below and subscribe for more motorsport content. I might surprise you with some Formula One content next week. We'll see. But lots of Daytona 500 stuff this week. So the duels are, in about 12 hours. So see you then.